Hey, I am Erin Parks of Parks Ag Solutions, and this is what I call my marketing assistance program, where I do a deeper dive into a grain marketing or agricultural product, just to increase knowledge and awareness and give you something to think about. So, really, this is for education and maybe a little bit of entertainment as well. The topic this month is going to be grain marketing in times of low income. And here we are in May of 2025 when this is recorded. And unfortunately, we are going through a period of low income because of pretty much lower prices. And you probably know that. But I do have a couple of things to back up that theory and what others are saying and projecting for this 2025 crop year. So, the USDA Economic Research has total cash receipts down from 2024 into 2025. So total cash receipts over all agricultural farms, they have down 2.7%. But on cash receipts of cash grains, they have those down at 4.6% compared to 2024. Corn, then they haven't broke out, right? So then corn, they have down at 4.3% compared to last year. Beans down 6.6% compared to last year. I think that could end up being more. Wheat down 3.5% compared to 2024. Again, I think that one could be a little more as well. Also, the University of Illinois, in a couple of their farm doc publications, they had corn projected, instead of being at 430, they're dropping it down to 410. And for beans, instead of being at 1020, they're dropping the average cash price to $10. Break even prices on corn, if you use their budgets, so if you use the University of Illinois budgets, break even on corn is at 461, beans are at 1107. So negative margins, if those numbers that I just mentioned, the 410 and the $10 end up being true, returns are negative compared to what it takes to actually grow the crop per acre. So what do we do? What marketing can we do to help us through that? And some things I have experienced from buying grain and working with farmers is that there are some things to be aware of, going forward in a time of low income. So one of the first things you can do is spread out your cash sales. So maybe in a normal year, you would sell from like the beginning of fall to the end of December, and that would be it. And I don't say this very often, but something to consider is in a time of low income is to sell from fall to maybe like February or March to expand that time period window. It gives the market a chance to maybe rally. Maybe if there would be something else going on in another part of the world to, help with prices in those rallies. But I would also say, keep in mind, we only want to do that if there is carry in the market, right? If December is a much higher price than January, then please don't hold that crop into January just because of this video. You always, if you're going to hold grain, you want it to be into a carry, not into an inverse. Couple of things to keep in mind that I have noticed is, okay, so then what are some triggers I can look at when I should sell when it's time of a low income? first thing, watch animals on feed. So usually with lower prices, especially if we're talking like corn, especially if we're talking about wheat, we can see the amount of animals on feed actually increase because it makes them more profitable. Or if they don't, so pay attention to that number, animals on feed. Another one to pay attention to is the strength of the dollar, because when our prices are low, it can make it more advantageous for other countries that haven't been buying from us to then come and buy from us. But the dollar can make a difference if it's strong or if it's weak, of how much of their currency it takes to buy our particular product, whether it's corn or beans, or actually it doesn't matter. The strength of the dollar can make a difference of how much money of their currency it takes to buy a dollar of our product. So watch those two things in times of low income when you're trying to decide on what to sell. Another thing you can do to kind of diversify a little bit is maybe change up of what you're growing. So maybe in a normal year, you're 100% traded corn, traded soybeans. In a time of low income, it may be a consideration to do like non-GMO, maybe some food grade. Here in Southern Indiana, we've got a couple of choices that you would have for food grade and specialties as well. So that's an idea as well. You've heard this one on other videos, but make sure you're doing your projected cash flow. So in a normal year, you might be doing a projected cash flow like yearly. As I have said multiple times, you would want to do at least quarterly cash flows. And I would say in a year of low income, you want to be figuring out of what those cash flows look like at different prices. This gives you a good chance to keep on top of your break evens, depending on what your yield and the prices and everything are doing. It also gives you a good look at what your cash rental agreements are and what you should or should not be bidding. Another one is to increase income. And you're like, okay, well, that's easy, right? We'll just increase our income for the year. But in a normal year, you may not, you're happy with your cash receipts in a normal year of what you're making on the farm. But a year of a low income, it may be time to consider off-farm income, or maybe something that's an on-farm income or business. And of course, you want to take all your government payments that you can. You want to take all your support payments that you can to increase that income as much as you can. Now, keep in mind, these are the first projections of the year, right? We're talking May of 2025, and everybody is using lower cash prices. But everybody's not in the same boat, and everybody's not experiencing these fluctuations in prices the same. So if we would have a lower yield, if we would have something going on into the world, if we would have multiple new trade deals with trade partners, all of that could increase our cash price and your income, and you wouldn't even need this video. So that idea is something we need to keep in mind, is there are a lot of things that can happen between May and say December that can change our prices. Also, too, when you look at the projections for 2025, they're looking at decent government payments to be forecasted, higher in 25 than 24. And personally, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not big trade deals done by fall. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some type of supplemental payment or even some disaster assistance programs that we have seen in the past if trade deals aren't resolved by fall. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. And plus, I like to end things on a fairly positive note, right? You do have control, you do have agency. There are things that you can do to increase your income, even we're expecting cash receipts to be lower. Hey, if you have any questions about this video, some of the things I've mentioned, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Leave a note in the YouTube comments below, and I will be in touch. Okay, thanks for watching. Appreciate it.